Hi there, I'm Jackie from Bloom Property Management, and today I'm going to be talking about how I would build houses for the future. And certainly building a house is something I've wanted to do ever since I was a little kid, and I've drawn a bazillion house plans at all stages of my life. Even today, if I can't sleep, I will get out a house design tool on the iPad and tweak something up, just have a doodle and put some thoughts to sleep, so the rest of me can join them too. So what kind of houses would I build? Now, look, there's a lot to be said for domes, and certainly with climate change, domes would probably be a fantastic idea. But are we ready to live like they do on Tatooine yet? Maybe not. So, until then, I think any houses I build would be as ecological as they could be, because that's stuff that's very important to me, and I hope it's very important to you too. So these are the kind of things that I would consider. I would want the house to be right-sized. So that means it's not big and sprawly, it doesn't have a lot of wasted space, there's not huge laundries for no good purpose, there's not a lot of wasted circulation space, so hallways and things like that are minimized. I would look at having it suitable for intergenerational housing, so it's quite dynamic for all sorts of household configurations. So elderly parents could come and live, adult children could return home once you think you're an empty nester, but they come back. So houses that can have the flexibility to deal with those kind of things. I would like houses to be passive house design, or passive solar design is, in my opinion, slightly better. They have similar ideas, but they're different in their execution. They have a place for each of them. So I would want to be looking at durable materials, preferably natural materials, and preferably with low embodied energy. And so that would definitely include materials that are sourced as locally as possible. I wouldn't want to be importing marble from Italy or something like that. There's no point, in my opinion. There's plenty of perfectly good materials that will do the job that come from locally. I want to avoid trends, and I want a property that will age gracefully. So you design it right, and you design it the first time to be something that isn't a slave to a particular fashion, but instead it's going to be timeless, and very few tweaks over its lifetime are going to keep it looking fantastic. So that's ideally what I'd want to do. And yeah, that might seem a little boring, but there's beautiful architecture is enduring. I want properties that are low chemical and low allergen and have high air quality. So that comes down to the kind of finishes we use, the kind of materials we build it from, the ventilation within the building, all that kind of thing. So we don't want to have things that are encouraging dust mites or stuff like that, or allergic reactions from people. I've read somewhere that women are exposed to hundreds of perfumes before they even leave the house in the morning, because of all our lotions and potions and all that kind of stuff, and household cleaners and everything else. There is a lot of chemicals that we're assaulted with. Why would we put that on ourselves? Why would we make that more of an issue than it needs to be? So we can do that with great house design and materials. I'd want properties to be universal for whole of life use. So I'm able-bodied at the moment, but I am getting older. As I get into my 50s, 60s and beyond, what is my body going to need more than it does already? I already have eyesight issues, and I know I don't bounce back like I used to. What if I fall and break my hip or a leg or an arm? Can I still wash myself without assistance? Can I get food? All those kind of things. So we want to think about how we can still function in our property as long as possible without needing external care or having to move home, because if you are needing residential care, moving out of your community is really disruptive and not very beneficial to the human that's needing the care. It's much better to stay in your home with surroundings that are familiar. So let's make them so that they can still function in that situation. Of course, I think climate change is going to be massive impact for the future, whether you agree with the reasons for climate change or even if it exists or not. I don't care. That's your opinion. You're welcome to it. But I think we're going to have more extremes of weather. We've already seen lots of flooding around New Zealand recently. We do get more tropical storms hitting New Zealand. We've had more typhoons and that kind of stuff happen. These are more extremes. We're getting more heavy rainfalls, so massive rainstorms. So I want to see things like guttering system that can withstand the heaviest of rain and deal with it without overflowing and undermining the foundation of the property or causing flooding further downhill, that kind of stuff. So there's lots of ways of dealing with that, and these can easily be incorporated in good home design. On the topic of climate change, do they need to be relocatable? Will we need to retreat from certain areas? Now, you might think, well, my house is on top of a hill, that's fine, I won't need to retreat because I'm above whatever sea level rise might get to. But if you need to go down to get into anywhere else, or through some low-lying area as your main access, you may want to rethink that strategy, because your property might become an island, and how will you get to it then? So, it's not so simple as just jumping in a boat, because there might be lots of buildings and power lines and all sorts of things that are still in place that you're going to be crashing into and fouling up on. Hopefully not, but you don't know how quickly these things will happen and what sort of funding will be available in the future to deal with this. Council infrastructures are already stretched to deal with most basic issues as leaking pipes. What makes you think they're going to clear foul a cityscape and plant it with seagrass? I don't think that this is going to be a realistic outcome. So we might need to pick up our buildings and literally transport them to a new location. Think about how transportable any houses you build in the future are. Can they be easily split? Are they small enough to fit onto a truck? Are they within certain height restrictions? All that kind of stuff. Something I think is also very important is about building waste while a building is being built. And the best way to reduce that waste is to have it factory built or even 3D printed. So there's 3D printing, I think, is a very exciting progression in house building, and can certainly build a lot of houses very, very quickly, and those can be done with very minimal human inputs, and they can be done in quite conventional ways or very unusual and innovative ways. But factory building houses is a wonderful system as well, and it really reduces wastage on site, because all of those pieces that get cut off are put back into the reuse bin, and the next house gets to use those, rather than the builders go, well, this client paid for it, and it's waste from the site, it'd be wrong to reuse it at someone else's site and have them get the benefit of it, let's chuck it in the skip bin. Right, it's very inefficient. And I've seen even like builders of their whole job is building these houses, they stick build them and throw so much in the skip bin, it's horrendous. So I'd like to see more factory built properties, and that's what I would like to set up for myself. I'd like to see properties that have more backup systems that aren't dependent on the grid and infrastructure, because we are going to have emergencies where we have flooding or high windstorms, or trees down over roads, or the power going out, or water pipes bursting. All these kind of things can happen, and that's going to impact on our ability to stay living in our homes. And so I want properties that have got solar panels, battery backup, they're self-sufficient in power, at least on a reduced capacity. They gather their own water and they deal with their own wastewater on site. All of these things are really fundamental and how we do things in the country, but we don't do it a lot in urban areas. But actually it could be done, and it could be done quite easily. We just need to rethink what is normal and think about how we can do that. I have sent to my tenants a link to a site about how to make an emergency composting toilet, so that they're prepared if there is an emergency, that they don't have to leave their home, they can stay in situ if their water is off, and actually have proper toilet facilities. When I say proper, sanitary toilet facilities that isn't going to cause harm to them or their environment, and get them through any crisis. So, are you thinking about ways that you can make properties that are more sustainable for the future? Feel free to follow me for more tips and hints, and I'd love to hear more information. Feel free to put a link in the comments to something that you found really useful.